We haven't been here in a while, huh?
Been a while.
Dave, how are you? I'm good. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the State Police Regional Operations Intelligence Center, otherwise known to many as the Rock. It's good to be back, Pat. It's been over a month since I've had the opportunity to stand and speak alongside State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan at a press conference, so I figured that we should do something to rekindle old times. I'm also honored to be joined by Acting Attorney General Matt Plotkin. Matt, great to have you with us. And the chair of the Senate Law and Public Safety Committee, Senator Linda Greenstein, and I hope we will be joined soon by the Assembly Chair, Assemblyman Bill Spearman. Today, we are proud to take a strong step together in increasing funding for our state police and securing its future. We are here today to announce our commitment to graduating not one, but two new classes of New Jersey State Troopers in the coming fiscal year. This additional class will be funded through existing federal American Rescue Plan funds available for COVID recovery and then further supported in the final fiscal 2023 budget. The 164th Trooper class will begin their training this upcoming September, and in February of 2023, the 165th class of New Jersey State Troopers will enter the Academy in Seagirt. And I also want to acknowledge a whole handful of Pat's senior colleagues who are with us today. One of my most sacred responsibilities as governor is ensuring the safety and security of the residents of our state. This means providing the funding required for diverse, well-trained, and properly funded law enforcement that is fully capable of meeting the challenges we face today, both existing and emerging. Moving the 164th class's training up to September and following through with the 165th class in February will ensure the troop ranks necessary for the New Jersey State Police to fulfill its responsibilities. And already, I might add, long list that continues to grow and expand as new challenges emerge. Colonel Callahan and his team lead our overall crime prevention efforts and disaster response activities. And it bears noting that the state police is the sole provider of police services in 89 municipalities of our 565. The state police have taken on a leadership role in our battle against gun violence and have partnered with numerous local police departments and community-based organizations to make our streets safer. And I will speak more to this point tomorrow in Paterson. The state police are the central point of contact for law enforcement entities across the state for tactical, technical, and forensic services. It is the clearinghouse for background checks and regulatory services for firearms and the private detective industry. The troopers here at the Rock are our front line in preparing for and managing our real-time response to storms, natural disasters, and as we all now are critically aware, to public health emergencies. Indeed, throughout our COVID response, the state police worked hand in hand with state and federal partners to create thousands of additional hospital beds, set up testing and vaccine sites, and procure, quite literally, tens of millions of pieces of PPE to protect our essential employees and residents at the pandemic's height and ensure a strong inventory for future needs. The state police is also the main point of enforcement of our gaming laws. It is responsible for all expungements, including those related to past marijuana-based convictions. And the state police have taken a leadership role in combating the opioid epidemic through the creation of the Drug Monitoring Initiative that is bringing together public safety and public health experts in tackling one of our most pressing challenges. This doesn't even complete the list of roles and functions that this division provides. The state police currently counts a total of 3,020 enlisted troopers in its ranks. Yet to meet the demands put upon the division, especially in light of the significant demands necessitated by our COVID response and the increased need for law enforcement stemming from the pandemic. This count should exceed 3,100. With these two classes, we can ensure that this level is met, given our increased emergency response needs over the past several years, as well as anticipated attrition due to retirements or other separations from the service. And at the same time, we can ensure a state police force that better mirrors our state's diversity. And with these new troopers, we can ensure the high level of service that New Jerseyans have come to expect from the New Jersey State Police. As I've told both Pat and the members of the trooper classes that I've had the honor to address at their graduations, the New Jersey State Police are recognized across the nation for excellence. I hear it whenever I travel out of state. I hear it from my fellow governors. The New Jersey State Police are a tremendous point of pride. We are going to ensure they remain not just properly funded, but properly maintained. And this will be an investment in a stronger, fairer, and safer state. With that, it gives me great pleasure to turn things over to our Acting Attorney General, Matt Plackett. Matt? Come on down.
Thank you, Governor. This is a great day for state police, for New Jersey, and for law enforcement throughout our state. I'm proud to stand beside the Governor, Colonel, Chairwoman Greenstein, and soon to be here Chairman Spearman, to announce the second Academy class for fiscal year 2023 for our New Jersey State Police. Since day one, Governor Murphy and his administration have demonstrated a firm commitment to keeping all residents in our state secure and safe. And this commitment has been made clear through the Governor's consistent support year after year for our New Jersey State Police, which of course is one of our nation's premier law enforcement organizations. The state police are also the most visible presence of law enforcement throughout our state, and the Governor touched on a number of the roles they play, but they truly confront essentially every challenge we face. They work, many people don't know this, they serve as local law enforcement in communities throughout our state. They prepare for and respond to all manners of emergencies, nothing more apparent than their response to the COVID pandemic, but storms like Tropical Storm Ida. They pursue gun traffickers, take firearms off the street, and they truly lead first-in-class cases in this regard. They lead our efforts to combat the opioid epidemic by taking down pill mills and disrupting other nefarious opioid production. They protect our highways, and they hold dangerous drivers accountable. And lately and importantly, through our expanded auto theft task force, they have been leading our efforts to combat the unfortunate rise in auto theft that we're dealing with throughout our state. And perhaps most importantly, troopers are on the front lines constantly working to build connections and earn the trust of the communities they serve. And I have to give the Colonel a particular shout out on this because it's his commitment to that effort that has helped us make many of the strides that we have made. And so simply put, in all corners of our state every day, Jersey troopers are putting their lives on the line to keep us safe. When we need them, they're here. And when we aren't calling upon them, they stand ready to address whatever challenges that may come our way. So today we're ensuring, thanks to the Governor's leadership, that the ranks of the Jersey State Troopers can meet the immense duties that we place on them, and that they can continue to do the work they do, supporting local police, working with community organizations and leaders, as well as partnering with our federal and state agencies. We're adding personnel and resources so that they and we can address the unfortunate rise in crime that we're seeing in our state, particularly violent crime. And with this second class, as the Governor mentioned, we'll be able to further our work to ensure that our troopers reflect the great diversity of this state. So that's why I want to say thank you to the Governor, to legislative leadership for your support for the state police. It means a lot. And to Colonel Callahan and the rest of his leadership team, and I have to shout out Lieutenant Colonel Jeannie Hagen-Mule, who would have been here, but she's currently running the Boston Marathon, I think as we speak. So making us all feel ashamed. But Colonel, to you and your team, thank you for your leadership. It's an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and it's easy to be excited about classes of future troopers, and I look forward to not only graduation in July, but coming graduations. It's very easy to be excited about those future troopers and what the future of the state police looks like when we know the example that they're going to be following. So with that, I'll turn it over to the governor.
Well done, man. Matt, thank you. My breath was taken away by the marathon comments, making us all look like slugs here. Matt, thank you, and thank you for your leadership. It's kind of odd that I'm welcoming our host this morning, but like greeting someone's guest at the front door when it's not your house. But I want to introduce another great leader who's been there and continues to be there through thick and thin, regardless of what's thrown New Jersey's way, the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan.
Thanks so much, Gov. Good morning, everybody, and I'll just take a few minutes to echo most of what's been said here again. I certainly thank Governor Murphy for his unwavering support since day one, and certainly Attorney General Platkin, having got to work with him when he was the governor's chief counsel, and now in this capacity is certainly a special working relationship, and certainly Senator Greenstein and Assemblyman Spearman, thanks for your constant support of the state police too. We are now in our 101st year of serving the citizens of New Jersey. The 100th anniversary was certainly special, but we didn't stop there. This 101st year of service to the citizens of New Jersey is even made stronger by this commitment for a second class. Usually our state police classes are what we call attrition classes. We retire 100, we graduate 100, and we kind of just hang in that area. But now with Governor Murphy and the legislative support of this second class, we call it a growth class, and given the mission and the scope of it, I think of, and the governor highlighted, I think of where we were back in March when we first activated this. March of 2020, when we activated the ROC and the State Emergency Operations Center, when we asked troopers to build mega testing sites, and we asked troopers and our partners to build vaccine sites and to go out there and have mortuary affairs, something that we don't learn in the police academy, to have refrigerated trailers and refrigerated warehouses, as we couldn't decompress hospitals and funeral homes quick enough. I think of the state stockpile of PPE, sanitizer. We had troopers delivering ventilators to hospitals before they asked for them, to save lives based upon what we collected from our healthcare systems, and having that ability to collect the dots, to connect the dots, knowing what our state needed in probably one of its worst unprecedented times. I think of during a pandemic to take in almost 17,000 Afghanistan guests in Operation Allies Welcome over at Joint Base McGuire. Jersey troopers embedded at the heart of that. One in particular who greeted every single guest, trooper that was born in Afghanistan, and got on every single bus, sleeping in his car, in order to welcome them in their native tongue to New Jersey. That's a special place to be, and I think that's why the rest of the nation looks to New Jersey as to how we do things. I think of the Attorney General's recent initiative, Arrive, that alternative response to reduce incidences of violence, partnering mental health screeners with Jersey troopers to go out there to meet people in crisis, especially in the wake of this pandemic, as we're still not out of it, but those struggling with addiction, those struggling with depression, and having different outcomes and diverting people away from the criminal justice system to a mental health system in order to make sure that we got them the help that we needed. Special place for me to be. I was always just thrilled to call myself a Jersey trooper, and still am, and I certainly thank you, Governor, which is going to make a huge difference. If we get the enlisted members up over 3,100, I have no doubt that that motto of honor, duty, and fidelity will not just be empty words, emblazoned on the hearts of our troopers, but it'll be a standard of life that each and every one of them take, qualified and diverse. This candidate pool that's going in there is a very diverse and qualified pool, and I'm honored to be welcoming them to Seagirt. It is not an easy run down there at Seagirt. Currently, we have 175 recruits down at Seagirt, anticipated to graduate in July, and it is a special group of women and men that don't even get to go home, most weekends because of the measure we've taken because of COVID. So completely honored and thrilled that this second class has been supported. And I thank you, Governor, for your continued leadership and partnership as always. Thanks, Gov.
Well done, man. Thank you, as always. Thank you, Colonel. You mentioned Afghan refugees. I'm wearing as close as I can come to state police colors, but also to the Ukrainian flag. It's a good reminder that this awful, evil thug, Putin, has killed so many innocent individuals and has displaced folks by the millions. We were the first state in America to raise our hand that we would gladly, willingly, with great passion, welcome any Ukrainian refugees. That's been a trickle to date, but I know that if it becomes a real flow of refugees, as always, the state police will be there to help make that as smooth a reality as possible. This is the second time we've had a second class in my administration, but first times in these two instances since Governor came. So it's been a long time since we've been able to do anything other than just replenish the folks who have attrited or retired. So honored to stand with you. It takes a village, no matter how good an idea any one of us may have, how good an intention any one of us may have. Boy, do we have great legislative partners, and this is no exception. So we'd love to ask them to say a couple of words. First up, the chair of the Senate Law and Public Safety Committee, Senator Linda Greenstein. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks. This is a wonderful day, and I want to start by thanking the governor for allowing this to happen. And we'll have much larger numbers of state troopers. Thank you to the Attorney General also, which is what we need here in New Jersey. We are so proud of the state troopers. It really is an honor to have such a wonderful force here in New Jersey, and now we'll be able to have the larger numbers that we need in order for them to do what they do. And of all the different things that you do, and the list is so long, obviously, I can't help but think of the COVID response with you, Colonel Callahan, always sitting there at the governor's side day after day for years, and the wonderful work that was done during that period of time, all of the activities from PPEs to vaccinations and everything else that you were so involved with. And we want to thank you very much for everything you did during that time. We'll pray that we won't need that level again, but certainly we have a couple of years on it that really gave us what we needed during a very bad time. And again, one of the last things I want to say is that as chair of the Law and Public Safety Committee, we call on Colonel Callahan and the Attorney General all the time for assistance when we do hearings, trying to understand the issues better, and making sure that we're doing everything to be good legislative partners in all the work that you do. So again, we're looking forward to your life being easier with larger numbers of troopers. And thank you again, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, as always.
Thanks.
Senator, thank you for your leadership. And before I bring up another outstanding leader, we've mentioned all of us COVID several times. I don't have the numbers exactly precise, but we're still in that expected wave that we talked about a month ago. We're mimicking what happened in Europe about 4 to 6 weeks ago. So positivity rate is up, not at, not double-digit percentages, but sort of at a level that we aren't thrilled about. Rate of transmission feels like it's plateaued. The good news in all of this, and I'm an example of this, I got it a few weeks ago, and I'm now double boosted, but at the time I was single boosted. The fact of the matter is the rates of increase in positivity, in rates of transmission, are not matched by the rate of increase in hospitalization or severe illness or, thank God, fatality. In other words, they're up a little bit, but the curve is a lot flatter sloping than the cases. And that is what the experts, and I think we've expected, that this is in the process of converting. It's on that journey from pandemic to endemic. And the sooner we get there, the better and happier we'll be. I mentioned it takes a village, and it takes two great chambers of legislative leaders, and would love to ask another terrific leader to come on up, the chair of the Assembly's Law and Public Safety Committee, Assemblyman Bill Spearman. Bill, great to have you, man.
Good to see you. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. It's really an honor to be here. First of all, before I say that, I just want to thank the governor for your leadership on COVID. I was actually talking to someone from Cooper Hospital the other day. He said we're like close to 90% vaccinated in New Jersey. That's amazing. And that's the reason why the hospitalizations aren't going up. So thanks to your leadership, Governor, thanks to your leadership, State Police. Always good to see you, Attorney General, and of course, Senator. It's good to see you. What's really special for me, though, is I'm a kid from Camden. I grew up in McGuire Gardens. And I remember back in the 80s and 90s when drugs had basically taken over our corners in Camden. And it was the state police working along with the county, along with the federal government and the Camden Police Department that took our streets back from the drug dealers. So it's an honor for me. In addition to all the other things you guys do, which is amazing, for me personally, it's an honor to be here with you because you made my streets safe again. And I still live in Camden. And there used to be 4 drug corners within 3 blocks of my house. And because of your work with the city and the federal government and the county, my streets are now safe. I mean, we still have drugs. I mean, they're everywhere. But at least I don't have to worry about seeing them on the corner threatening my neighbors. So it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to see the diversity of the new class. It's an honor to have you ask me to be here, Governor. And it's an honor to live in New Jersey. God, I love New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I hope we film that for a commercial for either Camden County, or New Jersey. But thank you, Bill. And thank you, Linda, both of you for being outstanding leaders and partners in this. And obviously want to reiterate deep thanks for Matt and Pat as well, and Pat, all of your colleagues with us today. We'll take a couple of questions if you got them. Matt?
Governor, forgive me for jumping around here, but do you have any concerns about there's been an apparent brain cluster in a town in New Jersey with a lot of people associated with a certain school? Do you have any concerns about that? And also curious if you've read a recent story about 2 women at New Jersey State Prison who got pregnant from what they say was consensual deception. I mean, just generally, do you have any thoughts? Did you read that? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, on the first, Matt, this is something that I know Woodbridge, the Middlesex County, and I guarantee you the state and the Department of Health and DEP and other entities in the state are taking very seriously. And so do we have concerns based on the incidence of rates that, anecdotally at least, that I've heard about? We absolutely have concern. I don't know that we know enough yet to be definitive in terms of causation, et cetera, but I know for sure that the tragedy that many lives are going through have some nexus to the Colonia High School. So that's something that we take very seriously. Again, too early to tell yet, I think, to draw any definitive conclusions. On the latter, I certainly have read it. More importantly, was briefed on it, or more relevantly, I should say, was briefed on it. And it's among many reasons why I've ordered Edna Mahan to be closed. And I had a meeting with our Commissioner of Corrections a couple of weeks ago to get a sense of progress on that front. And part of the reason to close it, and there are many, sadly, is the inability to segregate populations based on incidences or behaviors. And that's on the long list of reasons why it has to be closed, and that's in process. Dave?
Governor, I think you've probably heard the recreational marijuana sale is about to begin.
First I'm hearing of that, Dave.
No, it's true. It's going to happen on Thursday. Your sense about how significant is this? How important is it? Are you looking forward to it? Are you excited, nervous? What are your feelings about it? And then maybe afterwards, if the general could remind us in terms of the specifics, how much pot can you get at one of these places that's legal? And then are there concerns about somebody who may be getting more, or how would that be handled in terms of police checking people? Because we're getting a lot of questions about it. People are not sure about it. If you so kind.
Okay. I'm not sure how much detail we'll get into, but it's a good reminder that we should probably remind folks what the rules of the road are, right? I think relieved, Dave, is the best way to describe how I feel about this. At long last, I got behind this for social justice reasons. And Bill has lived it in Camden. and has lived it in his neighborhood and in his life as he's seen this, the war on drugs had a huge deleterious impact on communities of color. Yet another chapter in our country's history. And so getting, not just as a going forward, we're not inventing marijuana. I haven't said that in a while, but it's there. The question is who's controlling the industry, who's going to control the quality, health, safety, and getting this right, and finally at long last through the steps that are about to be taken is a big deal. There's no question about it. It's also a big deal that we have 300-something expungements on a look-back basis. So this is not just going forward. And by the way, I might add going forward, making sure the industry exudes equity, which the commission has gone out of their way to ensure. And remember that I think if we wanted to have just the big players in the industry, it happens a lot faster and it's a lot easier to do. And we want the big players, but we want not just the big players. We want the moms and pops, the folks who can't access capital. So while it's a big deal that these 7 medical dispensary operators will be able to sell recreational on Thursday, I think it's an even bigger deal that the commission put out 100 provisional licenses to mom, pop, minority, women, veteran-owned, that are too small to be in the big category, that need that provisional license to then go out and convince a bank or some other entity to give them the capital they need to get in business as a standalone recreational matter. I think that's a big deal, maybe even bigger. Matt, any comment you want to add to this?
The governor mentioned that we're not inventing marijuana. The rules have also been in effect now for over a year, and we provided guidance to law enforcement about how to handle, whether it be a stop or a search. And I think the overarching thing that we want to make sure people understand is, public safety continues to be at the forefront here. We've relaunched campaigns through our Highway Traffic Safety Division to address driving under the influence. We're going to continue to work with law enforcement. The fact that recreational cannabis is now coming online is something that we've prepared for and that we've been working with law enforcement to address, and will continue to as new issues arise.
Thank you. I didn't recognize you without your mask, I realize.
Laundry day.
Welcome.
So, with the additional trooper class, I kind of want to ask, if you did not have that, what would the numbers look like, or what would be the situation of the state police if you didn't have the second class of 2023?
Pat can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the fact of the matter is would stay level. And given the pandemic, given the stress that's related to the pandemic, we've seen, whether it's car thefts or acts of violence of some other sort, we've seen that we can't be standing still here. We can't be, standing in place. We've got to get bigger, stronger, more diverse, and this is going to be a huge step in that direction. You good with that? Fantastic. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Governor. Last week, Attorney General Packard put out a memo about the police use of legally obtained cannabis off-duty, and said there's nothing in the law that allows police departments to punish officers for that. Do you agree with that interpretation of law? And if you do you think there should be a law barring police from using cannabis off-duty? My second question is, now that it's going to be legally viable on Thursday, do you plan to try it?
I'll answer the first. Listen, I think it is, and Matt may want to come up again and amplify this. And this will be strictly enforced at both the state police and at every local law enforcement, county, local, otherwise. There's no allowing anybody to show up impaired. Fair to say that, whether you're drinking, whether you've smoked weed, whatever the reason, anybody who shows up impaired will be dealt with aggressively. That has been the case always, and it will continue to be the case. I think maybe a better way to ask the question, if I may say respectfully, would I be open-minded to a legislative fix that would address this? The answer is yes. Before I go to second, anything you want to add to that, Matt, or you good? or Pat, I should say.
The memo, it wasn't a directive, the memo that we put out last week, that I put out last week, just clarifies what the four corners of the law says, which is that you can't take an adverse employment action against an employee, any employee, whether they be law enforcement or in any other industry, simply because they use cannabis, meaning legal, regulated cannabis, off-duty. But as the governor said, they can't show up, no one can show up to work intoxicated. You can't possess or use cannabis or unregulated marijuana at the workplace, and you can't use unregulated marijuana at all. And we're gonna continue to be vigilant in enforcing that, because as I said, public safety continues to be the top concern, but all we did was clarify what was in the law.
Thank you.
I don't want to cut off the governor to answer the second question, but just like, there's a big question.
Did you have a second question?
The big question, how do you know? How do you know someone? How are we going to know, since there's no standards in place right now, as far as I know, for these wire tests? How will we know if an officer is intoxicated?
Yeah, part of the memo was put out, they have to use a scientifically verifiable test, whether it be, a blood or urine test, combined with a physical examination. But we'll continue, as I said, to update. We're working on updating law enforcement drug testing policy, and we'll have more to say, but we've given, I think, pretty clear guidance about what the law allows and does not allow.
Matt, I'll answer it this way. It's never been an animating thing for me. If we were so I'm trying to figure out a way to properly acknowledge the day on Thursday, and that's still sort of in process. If we were legalizing scotch, I would show up with a shopping cart. This has not been my thing. Guys, let's go Nikita and then Joey, and then we're going to wrap. Hey, Nikita. I believe it's $4 million. Is that right? Sound right to you, the ARP allocation? If it's not, Nikita, I'll come back to you. We will come back. It will not. This is unrelated. Yep. Thank you. Joey?
What is the timeline for addressing that, for getting nominees in there? And do you think that it's okay to have the board be down to 2 members, 3 members when it's just
Yeah. In a perfect world, particularly given our Supreme Court is held up as a model in America, you want to be at full strength, so there's no question about that. No news to report today, but we're working very hard to take some steps in the direction of getting that back up to full capacity, so stay tuned. I want to again thank Colonel Callahan and his colleagues for hosting us so graciously. This is one of these announcements that we all feel really, really good about. Acting Attorney General Matt Plotkin, thank you for your leadership as always. Senator, Assemblyman, Chairwoman, Chairman, thank you for your leadership and your colleagues. Great to be back at the Rock. Everybody have a great, safe week.